Hello and Grüß Gott. On this video we're going to be changing out the brake calipers and brake pads on a 2000 Volkswagen Jetta Mark IV. So before we get started, I want to make sure you wear your safety glasses and make sure you have proper equipment like jack stands. So what we're going to do is start with the front, we're going to jack it up, and we'll be right back. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull off these inner hubs so we can get to the lug nuts. So we're going to use object to pull those off, and be real careful when you reinstall them. They go on a certain way, and we'll show you that later in the video. Okay, before we jack up the vehicle, we're going to go ahead and take the lug nuts loose using a 17mm 6-point socket thin wall. And so we'll get them loose and then we'll jack it up and take the wheel off at that point. At this point we're going to disconnect the wear indicator plug, which is shown in the center of the video there, and then we're going to remove the anti-rattle springs and pull out the shoes. So we'll do that here in a second and we'll come right back. Okay, in order to get this sensor loose, you're just going to pull back on this little piece here, and it acts like a lever inside there, and that's going to release the component so that you can pull this off. We've removed the sensor. Now we're going to take loose these bolts here, which the pins go through here to hold the pads in place. So we're going to take those loose and then we'll take a look at how it was put together there, and I'll be right back. Right now we've loosened these, what we're going to call guide pins, with a 7mm hexagonal stick wrench or hex wrench, Allen key. And we're going to pull those out, and we've also put some wire tied to the McPherson strut spring so that we can tie up this caliper. We're going to pull the whole caliper off now. So we're going to do that and then we'll come back. Okay, we've pulled the caliper off of the caliper carrier assembly, and it exposes the brake shoe or brake pad that has the sensor built into it. So you can see that there. And then down here on the carrier assembly, you can just simply pull off the other opposite brake pads. Very easy to do. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to remove the carrier assembly and pull off the disc. You're going to use a 18mm driver now, 6-point driver, to remove 2 bolts from the caliper carrier. And so you'll take those off, and then you're going to remove 1 posi drive or Phillips type screw on the disc assembly, and then hopefully everything will come loose. Okay, so right now we're going to clean up this assembly here where the caliper is located, and we're going to push the caliper piston back into where it goes. To do that, we'll have to release some pressure, and we have to use a special kit. So when we get to that point, we'll show you exactly how that works. But first we're going to clean it up. This is a Pittsburgh disc brake pad and caliper service toolkit you can get at Harbor Freight. It's made by Pittsburgh. So we're going to use it to push the caliper back, or the piston. Okay, so here's how we have it set up to push the piston back in. And we're going to use a drain hose and an 11mm wrench to loosen the brake bleeder valve and bleed that off into something as we push it in, trying not to get any air in the system. So we'll do that, and then we'll be ready to start assembly. We've now installed the disc itself, and we just snugged the screw in real good and snug. The kit came with a new screw, but it was too long, so we used the old screw and put some low-strength Loctite on it. And then we installed the carrier, and we're getting ready to torque it, and I'll give you those torque specs here in just a second. Okay, we've reassembled it now. The big bolts get 92 foot-pounds of torque, and the little bolts that go in here get 22 foot-pounds of torque. The wheel lug nuts get 92 foot-pounds of torque, and that should be about everything. And I'll show you how the spring goes on here. See how the spring is located so that you can put that back on. I'll get it from a different angle. Okay, so here's the anti-rattle spring from a different angle, and you can see how it goes on. So basically this side is done except for putting the wheel on, and we're going to do the other side, and that'll take care of the front brakes. One more thing I wanted to mention is when you put these covers on, there's a picture of where the valve stem goes on the cover, And if you don't put them on right, they get damaged. You'll see there's some damage on that one where the tire shop didn't put it on right. It actually fits on a certain precise German way. Das ist ganz einfach. It's very easy. So just do it right and you won't have any problems.